path to have a successful future. Every Monday at 12 o'clock, Remus Bowman for you and your credit.
You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a Church Without Walls Foundation, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and
Charles Stewart.
a Church Without Walls Foundation is your show. The reason why we said that this is a community show because we really ask for your input on topics that will deal with issues concerning the family, the church, and the community. So many times we just don't have a voice. So we at the New Orleans Talk Network, a Church Without Walls, want to give you, our listening audience, a voice. And we want your voice to be heard. So you can call in and get in live by calling 504-341-8255. I want to do a shout out to my friend, once again, Thomas Tobias. He listens to us every week religiously, Charles, out in Macomb, Mississippi, even though we have other listeners out there also. But he's somewhat under the weather, and that's why I want to give a shout out to him and to his family. Charles?
Also, I want to say hello to Wynonna Watson, Sheila and Kenna, and to all of our regular listeners. We greet you and say happy turkey upcoming day for you.
Well, Charles, today that's what we want to talk about. A time of Thanksgiving. A time of Thanksgiving. And I guess you are wondering why we would use that topic, a time of Thanksgiving. Well, one of the things, Charles, we know that Thanksgiving is not a religious holiday. I don't want to spend all of our time going talking about how did it get started and all of this, but it is not a religious holiday. But Thanksgiving is a traditional holiday. And during this time, most of us will say, well, you know, this is when the holidays begin, the festive time, the family time. And one thing that I feel that we would like to talk about today is why we as families should not take advantage of this time that we have. What am I saying about that? Children are in school, families are working. But to start off for Thanksgiving, most people are off, schools are closed, and it is a time doing family dinners. This is a time when the family come together, they talk, they kind of bind a little bit more with each other. And it is a time that I feel that we ought not take it for granted, even though it is a traditional holiday, but we ought not take it to granted. You know, so many times I tell people, you don't have anybody but family. You have friends, but when you have that closeness and that time to bond with family and with friends, why not seize the moment? It's a good time to do that, to sit down, to cook, to laugh, to talk, to bring up about those that have gone on before and what great times and the recipes that they left and things of that nature. So, what do you think about that, Charles?
Yeah, Thanksgiving is it's a time that certainly I can remember those great days, were beautiful days, and I realized that time changed and you have to move on. But many families And many people on Thanksgiving, it's a sad day for some people, and some people are happy. Some people on Thanksgiving, some people have lost their loved one, and this is the first Thanksgiving they spending without their loved one.
Right. But I've always said that the Bible has an antidote for a lot of that, because the Bible says that think on things that are good, things that are pleasant. You can't change that a loved one have died. You cannot change that. So if you have this time that the other relatives or the other friends or the other people around you, this is a time to reflect when they were with you, the good times, the happy times, the things that they left with you. If it wasn't no more than a joke that you would always remember, a recipe that they left, or how did they eat. Sometimes I laugh because being from the South, we love to eat fried chicken. And I've always liked to, pick up my chicken with my hand and eat it with my hand. It's just what I like to do, and it's just a traditional thing that I do. But I mean, I don't carve a piece of chicken with a fork. With a fork and a knife, like I would do a steak. And so sometimes just to reflect back or joke or something that somebody did or say. I know that during this time, a lot of people do get depressed.
Right.
And I understand that. But I feel in my heart the way to get away from that depression is to not focus on the stuff that depresses you about the holiday of not having them. Because you really need a mindset. They are no longer here. I cannot control that. I didn't kill them. I did what I could for them while they were here, but I can't control that. But I feel that things that I can change, that I can control, this is the time to do it. Some people said during Thanksgiving, I wish I would have went home more, spent more time with the mother, spent more time with the children. Well, you can't change yesterday, Charles.
Right.
But you can change today. You can start this Thanksgiving holiday inviting friends and family. And if they're busy, that's okay. At least call them.
Right. And also, Reverend Don, I think that we should build on what happened in the past. Like you say, you can't undo anything that done happened in the past that's now. So the only thing that we can do is build up on what happened in the past. For instance, like that great recipe that Grandma had, that good old custard pies. I know somebody out there listening can relate to it. They had a certain way how they made those pies on Thanksgiving Day. Like, I remember as a little boy, my grandmother used to bake the cake. And she used to, during those days, they would sample. They would do what you call a little tea cake. Before they would cake, when they put all their eggs and all their ingredients, and they did it from scratch. Like now, you go there and Sara Lee, many other brands that they have out these days. You just go there and get it and put a little milk in there with an egg and stir it up, and then you put it in the oven. But during those days, they did it from scratch. They had put a little nutmeg in there, so somebody might know what that is. They put a little vanilla flavor. And they did the egg, they did a little milk, but everything was did from scratch. And before I can remember real well, my grandmother would always, she would take a little bit out of the pan and she would put it in a small pan and she would put it in the oven. And she would let me taste it. That was a thrill of my life.
Oh yeah, I remember, when they would be doing the cakes from scratch, and we always wanted to lick the bowl. So what I'm saying, there were so many great memories. We put so much emphasis on what we didn't have,
right,
or what we don't have, as opposed to what we do have.
Yeah.
And I think that Thanksgiving is a learned behavior It is something that you do learn. Well, we have to go to a break, Charles. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We'll be right back after the break.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Are you a member of Bedside Baptist? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 7601 Westbank Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world, here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready, because the conversation will be hot, and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app, available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, New Orleans? Listen, this your man Fred, host of your #1 sports talk show down here in New Orleans. Yeah, I said it. FanView, where real fans talk about real sports. Join me, Bank Ball Recite, your people's man B, and Madman the Big Fan, as we talk about all the latest sports topics going down here around the country. Again, FanView, where real fans talk about real sports.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, A Church Without Walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We're so happy to have Elder Dr. Glenda Williams sharing with us today. Today we're talking about a time of Thanksgiving. And during the break, Charles wanted me to ask the listening audience, if this is your first Thanksgiving without your loved one, we want to know just how are you dealing with that. If this is your first Thanksgiving without your loved one, how are you really dealing with that? Because again, not having your loved one that has been with you over the years and then all of a sudden they are not there, it can make you a little depressed. So we want to find out from you, our listening audience, how are you dealing with it this Thanksgiving without your loved ones being there? Well, Charles, we can offer some solutions to some people. If your loved one had been with you throughout the years, and this coming Thanksgiving they won't be there, why not do this Thanksgiving in their honor? Why not the people that's there, that's sitting around the table or whatever you're going to do for Thanksgiving, why not honor that person as opposed to just sitting there being depressed because they're not there? Some things you can change, some things you can't. If they passed on, you can't change that. But you can honor them and make it be more enjoyable, and think about the good times that you all did have. What do you all think about that?
Well, my first Thanksgiving without my mother, it was real sad. I really didn't want to talk to anybody, and I went on, and for a few hours, like something hit me and said, "Wait a minute, Charles. Say you sad that your mom is no longer here anymore." But it's like I started thinking about the good time with my mother, and I thought about all the great things that we used to talk about. She loved to talk about politics, and she loved to talk about the church. And it was almost a daily thing that I had to call and talk to her. And what most important that I believe that hit my mind, that I'm glad the Holy Spirit hit me with, Charles, you had your mother for like 7, 8 years. And said that was a blessing just for you. You have a mother for 7, 8 years. And some, kids that I know didn't have their mother for like 10 years. Some people don't even have their mother for 2 years. Some don't even have them for 20. I had mine for 7, 8 years. I said, boy, that's something to be excited and happy about. So my reflection, I started thinking about everything that we used to do was great. And right now, from that day on, it don't worry me. Like for holidays, people be crying. I smile, when I think about my mother, all the great things we had.
And before we bring Dr. Williams in, it's a good thing to do good while they're here. And sometimes your mother is so good, they always doing so much for you, so you don't really get that opportunity to do things back good to them. I remember there was something that I brought up that my siblings wasn't very pleased because I don't think they understood. My mother lived alone because my father died when I was 3, and it was hard for her to go outside and lift the garage up because my mother died at 87 years old. And so I thought about it, one Christmas. I said, look, why don't we get together, and instead of buying her some more stuff that she just don't need, like clothes and this, why not get her an automatic garage door opener? Man, they thought I was the worst in the world. But anyway, I convinced them, and they ended up getting her. We pulled together, and we got her an automatic garage door opener where she can just go in the house, click the button, the garage is up, click it, is back up. You know what? That took so much stress off of her life. It was one of the greatest things that we could have ever done for her. It made her life easier, and people don't think about stuff like that. Dr. Williams?
Well, I know that when my mom died in 2002, she died November the 5th, and we buried her on November the 12th. And that Thanksgiving was just very hard for my children.
Of course, yes.
But a lot of people would ask my pastor at the time I was living in Houston, Texas, Pastor Hall, Stephen Hall at Bethany Baptist Church, why is she smiling? And she just lost her mom. And he said, because she's at peace.
That's it.
And I was at peace because I did everything that I could for my mom while she was here. But now in 2012, when my mother-in-law passed away, Barbara Stamps, that was my Naomi, and we were very close. I really had a difficult time with her not being there, but I was at peace knowing that she was not suffering. And what I tell people all the time is that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to have your memories, but you don't grieve to the point where you make yourself sick and that you don't have hope.
That's it.
And that you don't give hope to the other ones around. And I said the best thing that we could ever do to cherish the memory of our loved ones, if they were saved and in God, and you know that if they went home to glory, live your life to the fullest and live your life right so that you can be reunited and see them again.
Right, because again, there are things you just can't change. Right. And that's not your decision to say when somebody died. That's God's decision. You don't make that decision. The Bible tells us clearly that life and death is in the hands of God. Yes. Right. So if God makes that final decision, you can't change it. So we can sit here throughout the rest of this show, the rest of the year. We can't bring them back. But what are we going to do from here? Is it somebody else that we can bless? Yes. Somebody else we can give a good word to? Somebody else we can make life easier for? Yes. That's what, in my heart, I feel God requires of us as children of God. I'm sure many of us have friends that may be alone for whatever reason. Invite them over. That's whatever you have, be thankful. You don't really need a whole big old spread. That's right. You know, share it. Whatever it is, bring them over, sit down, enjoy that time with them. And I feel that when you do that, whatever happens next year, you would have a beautiful memory.
And that's true. And even for my husband's family now, the Price family, we lost a pillar of the family, Mr. Mano Lewis Price. And I just want to say to them, because I know some of them may be listening, that even though we know that he's gone and Thanksgiving is coming, we need to celebrate his life.
That's it.
Celebrate his life, celebrate his memory, not in a day of mourning, but in a day of laughter, joy, and having good times with your family and your friends.
Right, because time, even for the moment until you would get over that, just remember this, time will take care of that.
Yes, it will.
Just don't sit and think about that and that alone.
That's right.
It's more to life. God never told, no matter what matriarch died, God never told the children of Israel to mourn forever. Yes. They had a certain amount of time to mourn. Yes. When that time was over, they had to get up, wash their face, and move on.
Move on.
Right.
And some people think that you're being harsh.
No.
But the Bible says that Jesus told them, let the dead bury
the
dead.
dead.
That means that the person that has gone on, that you don't stop living because that person has gone on. You love them and you cherish them for the life that they lived, but you have to continue to go forward.
But let's be real about this. Let's say we decide, okay, for the next year, we just going to moan. Is that going to change anything? Won't change. So sometimes we will have to change our way of thinking.
That's correct.
And we have to refocus ourselves.
That's correct.
And that's why I said, if that person was with you and in your life for however many years, it had to be some good time.
Oh, yes.
Think about those good times.
Yes.
And move on with your life, because that kind of stress can actually affect your health, and it can stop you from living.
Oh, yes, it can.
And I don't believe that the person that has gone on want you to stop because they have stopped.
No, and grief can stagnate you.
Yes, it can.
Grief can stagnate you to the point where you're no good for yourself and no good for your family, because then all of these different things come in. The depression comes in, and then you begin to isolate yourself from the real world, because you're trying to escape the reality that your loved one has gone on. And where that's when prayer is the key, and that you have to lean and depend on God to tell him to fill that void of that loneliness. There's some emptiness there because there's been a part of you that's been taken away, and then so you just feel like there's no more hope and all hope is gone. But Jesus is your hope, and if you lean and depend on him, he can come in and he could sustain you with that grief.
Right, and I want Charles to bring in on this one too, something, Dr. William, you said about prayer. We are talking about a time of Thanksgiving, but we also want to tell people through this show, how do they really get over that? The best way for a child of God to get over a lot of this is when that hits you, immediately start praying. Yes. Why? Because that's not of God. Depression is not of God. So the Bible said that if the enemy brings this into your life, into your thought pattern, into there, that this is going to cause you not to have life. Depression is not life. No. So the Bible says that when the enemy comes, if you would just resist him, he what? He will flee. So the best way to get over that, how do you resist the devil? You pray him out of your life. Charles? Yeah.
Yeah, and for those who are listening, we'd like for you to get in on this conversation this morning. The area code is 504-341-8255. We also on Facebook. You can look at these two beautiful women that I'm looking at. You can look at them on Facebook today. And so, but anyway, I want to try to encourage those, like I said, when a person no longer with us, we grieve. We do a lot of different things, and we pray and ask God to remove that. But I want to take it a little further and tell the listening audience that if you are alive today and you have someone in your family that you truly love, and even your friends, do what you're supposed to do now. Don't wait until they die. I find out a lot of people, they when people are here, they don't respect their mother, they don't respect their father, their friend, and a lot of time they mistreat them. So when they die, they kind of get in the casket with them now. But you had 50 years to respect your mother or your father or your friend, auntie, whoever, and you didn't do it. But time, like they so go back to God, and then that's when we go crazy. We howl and scream. And if you notice, you go to a funeral, the person who loved their mother and did everything they're supposed to do, they don't even hardly cry. It's the one that it's the prodigal son, or it's the young lady who done went astray, and she just went out there and she got lost. And when she get that telephone call and say, you don't have to worry about coming home no longer because mother's no longer here, that's when they go crazy. They coming home then.
They go
it's
crazy.
Too late then.
They go crazy.
Right.
So I just want to say to those who are listening now, I mean, it's not a lot that Elder Dr. William can really say to you, or Reverend Don. about anyone that is no longer here, but they can encourage you to respect the one that is here. And I think that's we need to move forward into learning how to respect one another while we're living. You know, that old say, give them their flower while they're living. And this is what I want to encourage everybody in Thanksgiving. Just thank God for, for whoever been in our life. Yeah. And like, I think it was like, I want to say it was Friday night. I dreamed about my mother. And she was just sitting down looking at me, smiling. And she told me to come give her a big kiss. I gave her a big kiss, and I woke up.
Wow.
But I don't have nothing to grieve about because when she was here, Lord knows, Lola B got anything she wanted. If I didn't have it, somebody was going to give it to me. And my mother she was like a big woman. She has, I know her size. Like at one time, she was wearing a size 22. They had a store called Roses. They knowed me. I'll go there almost every week and buy my mom a beautiful dress. And then she got down to 18. But I don't know if Roses, I know it was on Mary Road. That was one of the stores, special for big women. And then I was able to go there. So those are the memories that I have that I shared. And anything my mom wanted, I went and got it.
Amen. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. And we're so happy to have Dr. Elder Glenda Williams sharing with us. We need to go to a break at this time, and we'll be right back.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business. New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballantyne Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballantyne Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary J. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary J on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary J at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned into New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, New Orleans? Listen, this your man Fred, host of your #1 sports talk show down here in New Orleans. Yeah, I said it. FanView, where real fans talk about real sports. Join me, Bank Ball Recite, your people's man B, and Madman the Big Fan as we talk about all the latest sports topics going down here around the country. Again, FanView, where real fans talk about real sports.
Talk Network app available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We're so happy to have sharing with us Dr. Glenda Williams. Today we are talking about a time of Thanksgiving, because we know during this time there's so many people that come together with so many other things when we feel like this is a time of not really complaining, a time of being thankful. We want to talk about the mothers and fathers that's dealing with issues of their children perhaps not being with them for the holidays, maybe incarcerated or whatever. And that kind of makes the family feel like somebody is missing. Oh, yes. But we also talked about peace. Dr. Williams and I talked about, during the break, about having peace during this time. Because I feel in my heart that when children are around their parents for the holiday, the best thing you can give that parent is some peace. Yes, we want to be thankful for our children, for whatever they bring to the table. But parents want to be proud, but they also want to enjoy that day in peace. Dr. Williams.
Well, that's true, because all of my children are grown. And so I have a 29-year-old, a 28, 22, 21. So I have peace in my house. And it's not that I don't like for my children to come over, but sometimes you just enjoy the quietness. And even now with the holidays, I enjoy spending quiet time in my PJs with my footies and just in my bed watching me some movies. And sometimes when people come over, I get a little irritated because it's kind of invade my space.
Well, let me ask you, Dr. Williams, perhaps you and Charles both. What about even during the holidays when you have close friends? Now, most of my close friends have family. So they would spend that time with their families. But, there are some friends of mine that family is not here for, whatever. Maybe they live here and the family lives abroad or in a different state or just too far away and they don't want to get on the highway. And I've always felt like having some family, some friend time is also good because they're friends that don't have that family and they look at you as being their family. And if they can bring something to the table, that's great. I mean, you don't need a big old spread to really enjoy yourself. There are people, it's a tradition, right, that we have turkey for Thanksgiving. But there are people that don't want the turkey. They want duck. They want chicken.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that they want, but they just want that time to be grateful, to be thankful for whatever God has put in their life. Because let me tell you something. If you are not grateful and thankful to God, you're complaining about everything.
Everything.
You're never happy. It doesn't matter whether it's Thanksgiving or not. If you are not thankful to God, that's learned behavior.
Yes. Yeah, but you have some families, Reverend Don, that cannot come together.
True.
Because there's so much confusion, there's just so much chaos that some of them just rather be by themselves and not be intertwined with their family. So what do you do, and what encouragement can you give to that person to tell them to forsake not the fellowship with your family, that to just try to come together as a family?
I think that you said it very well earlier when you said that it's time to pray. And I believe that in the midst of any situation, if you earnestly pray, in my heart, I know that God is able to fix that situation, even if they are not there, but it is no more than peace in your heart.
That's right.
That I know I have done what God have commanded me to do as a child of God. I prayed about that situation.
Yes.
Prayer
Yes.
do what no other power
Yes.
on this earth can do.
Yes.
But I think that when you know there is a problem, you know there's a problem in your family. My mother is gone away. But one thing my brother and my sisters and I do, we do check on each other to see what they're going to do. I have a sister just like you, Dr. Williams, my oldest sister. And I asked her a couple of days ago, well, what are you going to do for Thanksgiving? She said, you know what? I just want to be at home in peace. That's her choice.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I ask her. At least I will call her.
Mm-hmm.
I may even drop in, maybe later that evening because she lives alone.
Yes.
And just to see how she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's her choice.
Yes.
But I don't want to be at odds with her. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Or
That's
with
right.
the rest of them.
And you let her have her space.
Right.
And let her enjoy it. And there are some holidays that I want to be around people and I want to do, but I still think that Thanksgiving is still that time, is still within that month that my mom passed. So I just take that time and reflect. Now, and I like to make the sweet potato pies because that was something that my mom, and when I went to see that movie, Almost Christmas, I was really tickled, with him doing the sweet potato pie. And that's what I do. So I like to bake or do something that my mom would do during Thanksgiving time. And even if I'm at home by myself, I'm sitting there and I'm having a good time because I'm reminiscing.
Right. Charles, I want to bring this up. One year after my mother passed, this is what I did. And it gave me a peace within my heart. All of my siblings, I went to the store and I bought, I think it was a Christmas, and I bought a ham. They were on sale, and I think they were maybe $6 a piece. I went in the store, and when I looked at the price of the hams, I said, wow, man, these hams are like $6 a piece. I'm going to buy a ham for each one of my siblings and give it to them for Christmas. Man, that felt so good in my heart. And that's all I'm talking about. It doesn't take a whole lot.
No,
it just takes being thankful for what you have and also thinking about others.
That's right.
But things, as you reflect and look back on it, things done changed, and I think that God have blessed us so much until the traditional holiday that used to be. I remember when I was a little kid. I think the older people, it was especially to them, it was a priority that they kept the family together. 'Cause I remember, as a little kid, everyone came to my grandfather's house for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And Christmas. Those 2 days, you're going to see aunties, uncle, cousin. Everybody would be at their house
Yes.
for the Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody would get around and hold hands, and they would pray and give a thank, and a few people would identify who they were. It was somebody that had got married and had a new addition to the family. They would introduce them, and they would let a few people have a few words to say and what Thanksgiving mean to them and what God meant to them. But as God blessed us, you don't have that anymore. Even if you cook a turkey and then you invite your cousin, your son, friends over, they, like Patricia, she in her room with a plate. The son on video the piece of turkey in his hand playing game. So the family is not united the way it was, and I think that God blessed, and He blessed us to have all these material things until we done got away from that family love that we used to have during the holidays.
Well, I like what you're saying, and what happened is I think it was like 2 years ago. Miss Renee Washington and J. Diamond Washington, they have the youth organization called Settled, and they actually had a Thanksgiving feast at the Four Columns, and it was called Bringing Families Together, where they wanted the families to sit down together with their children and actually have a meal, because that's what the old times used to be, and it just was not the family. Reverend D. Dunn, you can attest, it would be the preachers.
Yes.
They would bring the pastors in, and they would have families would have pastors at their tables and ministers at their table, and you were not going to touch a piece of that food till prayer went on.
That's it. Let me say this. I do have to make an announcement before the show is over, but I want to say this to our listening audience. You want to build a gap in the family by starting with this Thanksgiving. Do something for somebody. You would be surprised how some little things, even if you don't put on something of that big of a scale, why don't you just go buy some shrimp and send it to somebody and for their gumbo, or buy some militons, go and get some bell peppers and just send it to somebody and say, hey, you can fix your own, but I'm going to just help you out a little bit. Right. I saw these big bunches of greens. You can cook it yourself. I'm just going to send it to your house. Right. You would be surprised how much appreciative that somebody would be of you of that. We don't have very much left on the show, but I want to say this, that the New Orleans Talk Network is having a move and grooving for the holiday. This is sponsored by Bethesda Community Development Corporation. This would be on Friday, December the 9th, 2016, 7 to 11 p.m. at 7601 West Bank Expressway in Marrero, Louisiana. The tickets are $25, and there will be food, drink, music, and dough prizes. But this is sponsored by the New Orleans Talk Network. So you will get an opportunity to meet and greet with the hosts of all of the shows of the New Orleans Talk Network, and we will be airing this brief announcement again. But you can get tickets by calling 504-348-0132, or you can call Charles or myself and get tickets. And Charles, maybe next week we may just give out a ticket or two to some of our listening audience, maybe on one of our callers if they will call the show. Maybe we would give a ticket or two next week. So think about it. This is the time of Thanksgiving. Do what you can while the blood is running warm in your vein. The Bible said that the grave can't do anything. It can't even praise God.
You can't do anything.
You can't do anything. So why miss out such a great opportunity to be able to help somebody, to love on somebody, to love on family? Be thankful for whatever God has given you. And if only God has given you some love in your heart, then share that love with somebody. Dr. Williams?
If I can just help someone along the way, then my living will not be in vain.
That is so true. Charles?
Well, I just want to say to the listening audience, stop complaining about what you don't have. Thank God for what you do have.
That's it.
And you'll find out all the complaining that you do, if you just would shut your heart and look around, you'll find out that you're the problem. What I mean about that. The problem is, I hear many families should be in great thanks. And it's a Thanksgiving. They should be having Thanksgiving. They complain about the government is the problem. I was senator, everybody's the problem. But if you pull up in front of most people's houses, not all of them, but majority of them, I'd say 80% of houses you see, you got like 4 or 5 cars sitting in front of the house. But yet and still, they saying they have a problem. The government ain't right. I mean, we don't make enough money, but think about all those cars.
That's right. And be thankful. Charles, this is the end of the show. What do you have to say?
Well, no such thing as being half dead. If you're dead, you're dead.
God bless you. Thank you, Dr. Glenda Williams, for sharing with us. And until next week, God bless you.